I wonder how Trump is going to feel about this one. This one has to hurt. Arnold Schwarzenegger endorses Harris. He said Trump would only make us angrier and more divided. I went to his Twitter page after seeing that headline pop up. This is his statement on Twitter. He says, I don't really do endorsements. I'm not shy about sharing my views, but I hate politics and I don't trust most politicians. I also understand that people want to hear from me because I'm not just a celebrity, I'm a former Republican governor. My time as governor taught me to love policy and ignore politics. I'm proud of the work I did to help clean up our air, create jobs, balance the budget, make the biggest infrastructure investment in state history, and take power from the politicians and give it back to the people when it comes to our redistricting process in our primaries in California. That's policy. It requires working with the other side, not insulting them to win your next election. And I know it isn't sexy to most people, but I love it when I can help make people's lives better with policies, like I still do through my institute at USC, where we fight for clean air and stripping the power from the politicians who rig the system against the people. Let me be honest with you. I don't like either party right now. My Republicans have forgotten the beauty of the free market, driven up deficits, and rejected election results. He does not believe in the big lie. Democrats aren't any better with dealing with deficits, and I worry about their local policies hurting our cities with increased crime. And that is something that the Democratic cities and those mayors need to work on. I agree. It is probably not a surprise that I hate politics more than ever, which, if you are a normal person who isn't addicted to this crap, you probably understand. I want to tune it out, but I can't because rejecting the results of an election is as un American as it gets. Right, JD Vance? Oh, no, he rejects the election results. To someone like me who talks to people all over the world and still knows America is the shining city on a hill, calling America a trash can for the world is so unpatriotic. It makes me furious. I am and always will be an American before I am a Republican. That's why this week I am voting for Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. I'm sharing it with all of you because I think there are a lot of you who feel like I do. You don't recognize our country, and you are right to be furious. For decades, we've talked about the national debt. For decades, we've talked about comprehensive immigration reform that secures the border while fixing our broken immigration system. And Washington does nothing. The problem just keeps rolling, and we all keep getting angrier because the only people that benefit from problems aren't you, the people. The only people that benefit from this crap are the politicians who prefer having talking points to win elections to the public service that will make Americans' lives better. It is just a game to them, but it is life for my fellow Americans. We should be pissed. But a candidate who won't respect your voice, your vote, unless it is for him, a candidate who will send his followers to storm the Capitol while he watches with a Diet Coke, a candidate who has shown no ability to work past any policy besides a tax cut that will help his donors and other rich people like me, but helped no one else, a candidate who thinks Americans who disagree with him are the bigger enemies than China, Russia, or North Korea, that won't solve our problems. It will just be 4 more years of BS with no results that makes us angrier and angrier, more divided and more hateful. We need to close the door on this chapter of American history, and I know that former President Trump won't do that. He will divide, he will insult, he will find new ways to be more un American than he already has been, and we, the people, will get nothing but more anger. That's enough reason for me to share my vote with all of you. I want to move forward as a country, and even though I have plenty of disagreements with their platform, I think the only way to do that is with Harris and Walz. Vote this week, turn the page, and put this junk behind us. And even if you disagree with me, vote because that's what we do as Americans. I have said many of these things, but when it comes from a Republican and a man and someone with money, it just hits different. And I'm sure that this is going to hit the Republican Party, that so many Republicans, military officials, people that used to work with Trump, regular smegular Republicans are defecting from their party because of Trump. Trump has been a poison to the Republican Party. And I have said time and time again, especially on my Facebook page before I became a TikToker and a YouTuber, that I hope that this current iteration of the GOP goes the way of the dodo bird. I really wish that for them. I wish that and pray with all of my heart that they go the way of the dodo bird. And Trump has helped that along, and they deserve it. There's a page on TikTok that I like called Republican Voters Against Trump. They weighed in under Schwarzenegger's tweet saying, "Thank you. We must turn the page on Trump and MAGA extremism." Now, I will say a lot of people did get some big feelings over this. Heidi says, "The only good you ever did as governor was for the bikers. You've never been a Republican, and now you're less than credible. You're just a washed up has been." Carrie says, "What an effing loser." The blue says, "You push the vax, F you. We don't care what you have to say either way. You sell out piece of poop." Gunshot Wound says, "So in other words, you can't F Trump, but Kamala, she's your type." They have some big feelings going on over there. The Republicans against Trump also posted that George W. Bush's daughter, one of his daughters, Barbara Pierce Bush, campaigned for VP Harris over the weekend in Pennsylvania. She has endorsed VP Harris. So that's another big name that is going on the blue side. I don't know the rest of her politics, but we know that she is voting against Trump and for Harris. So I am thankful for that. So, man, it has been a week. It has definitely been a week. And I want to give a quick shout out to Tony Hinchcliffe, who I had never heard of until this hate rally over the weekend for Trump. Because of him, a lot of people, endorsed Kamala Harris, and it did push people to say, you know what, we're tired of this. So this dude did some good with his hate filled rhetoric. And I'm very glad that he came out. I'm not sure if he was a plant for Harris, but whatever. I'm glad for him. Let's give it up for Tony Hinchcliffe, who's definitely pushed a lot of people over to Kamala Harris. All right, y'all, join the conversation. Let me know what you think about this one. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. I'm not going to lie. I wasn't expecting to roll up on this news. A group of GOP women say they support Florida's Smamortion Amendment. Okay, let's look into this one a little bit. The mostly conservative women have been holding events in Manatee and Sarasota counties to encourage their peers to speak openly about why they plan to vote yes on Amendment 4. In a gated community in Lakewood Ranch, a few dozen people mingle in a large living room, sipping wine and noshing on shrimp cocktail when one of their hosts, Carol Whitmore, a former Republican Manatee County Commissioner and one of the founders of Conservative Women for Freedom, invites them to take a seat. "Hey, everybody, can you hear me? We're going to start. Come on in. We're going to have a chat." This mixer is to encourage guests to speak openly about why they support Amendment 4, which would undo Florida's 6-week ban. "We may not agree with the Democratic platform, but we do agree on this issue," Whitmore said to the group. The women and a couple of men listen as Dr. Marian Pandesio, an obstetrician, talks about ectopic pregnancies and other pregnancy complications that cause harm. The League of Women Voters offers tips on how to talk with friends and family about the amendment, like countering arguments about how its passage would increase late-term smortions. In fact, last year in Florida, there were 0 smortions performed in the 3rd trimester, said Nancy Hughes of the League of Women Voters of Manatee County. In 2022, 0. In 2021, 0. So if someone says Amendment 4 says that Amendment 4, if passed, will allow some abortions up until birth, is simply not true. Whitmore shares her own story. "In 1973, I terminated a pregnancy. First time that I ever had X. I was on birth control and I got pregnant. I was young and in high school. I don't regret my decision." Whitmore first spoke about terminating a pregnancy during a 2021 public meeting of the Manatee County Commission. At the time, a fellow commissioner was attempting to get the board to pass a local ban. There's a lot of stigma against people that have terminated a pregnancy, and I said, okay, it's time for me to come really public, and I did. So here is the woman, Carol Whitmore, who was a former commissioner. Whitmore says she knew there would be consequences for speaking out. She lost her seat in a deeply red Manatee County in 2022. This is where Donald Trump won 57% of the 2020 presidential vote and where a public park is named after Governor Ron DeSantis. Now she's creating a space for people who feel increasingly uncomfortable with political polarization. Suzanne Curie, a recent transplant to Florida, is one of them. Coming from Massachusetts down here, my Massachusetts friends were all like, you got to keep your mouth shut. Just be careful, she said of Florida's political climate. But Curry, an independent, says she felt welcome in this group of mostly Republican women. But I needed a safe place because it hasn't felt safe out on the street bringing this topic up. As a nurse, Curry says she believes abortion is healthcare. This should not be a political issue. If Amendment 4 is approved, it ensures that no law shall prohibit, penalize, delay, or restrict abortion before viability. That's when a fetus can survive outside the uterus around 24 weeks of gestation. But Florida's ballot initiative will pose a test no other proposal has faced in other states since the overturning of Roe. As Whitmore tells the gathering in Lakewood Ranch, state law sets the threshold for passage at 60% rather than a simple majority. The reason why you all are here tonight is because you got to pass the message to your friends. She tells the crowd as the presentation wraps up. You've got to get them out there to vote because if we don't get the independents and the Republicans to vote, we are not going to win. A poll from the University of North Florida shows the Amendment 4 is just reaching that supermajority threshold, with 60% indicating a vote of yes and 32% who say no. 8% of the respondents said they weren't sure yet on how they will vote. That is wild that they have to get 60%. I went digging just a little bit more and found this Newsweek article. It says nearly 40% of Florida Republicans back the abortion amendment, according to this poll from last week. Nearly 40% of Florida Republicans are supporting an amendment to protect abortion rights in the state, despite some agreeing with the Supreme Court's decision to overturn Roe v. Wade, according to a poll conducted by the University of North Florida. This is just so confusing. They wanted to overturn Roe. They were super duper stoked about that. Like, yay, let's go. But then they're seeing the fallout and they're like, oh, that happened. Like literally, pro-choice people have been telling folks that this was a bad idea, that this is healthcare, that this is going to impact women and children. But they were like, yay, let's go. Let's vote for Trump, pro-life, fetuses, yay. And now they're like, okay, let's over. Now that some Republicans are coming on board. Now some conservative women are coming on board. And it's like, cool, but we didn't have to be here. So I'm going to skip right here. Abortion emerged as a major campaign issue after U.S. Supreme Court abolished Roe in 2022 in a decision that returned the question of abortion to the states. Republicans celebrated the victory, arguing that the states should be able to make their own laws on the issue. More liberal states have protected it, while some conservative states have moved to ban the procedure in most cases, though some Republican-leaning states like Kansas and Ohio have still voted to protect the women's health procedures, because when it goes on the ballot, women's rights and women's reproductive rights prevail, because that's where most of the country is. In Florida, once a bellwether state that has trended more conservative in recent years, the amendment has earned support from nearly 4 in 10 Republicans, including some who agree with the Supreme Court decision to bring it back to the states, according to a new poll. The University of North Florida poll, which surveyed 977 likely voters from October 7th to the 18th, found that 38% of Republicans plan to vote in support of the amendment. It also found that 59% of Florida Republicans agreed with the decision to overturn Roe. The amendment is also being supported by 24% of respondents who identify as pro life, according to the poll, which had a margin of error of plus or minus 3.78 percentage points. The wild thing is, you can be it's like these people are pro-life until they are starting to get smacked upside the head with the results of being pro-life, and that is actually harming women. I don't know what their thoughts are. I really don't know. I don't get how some of those people, those women, those conservative women, can be conservative and pro-choice. I don't know. But that's what's going on in Florida. A lot of cognitive dissonance going on, a lot of twisting themselves into a pretzel. But how about they just get out of women and their doctors' medical choices and decisions and just leave people alone? Y'all join the conversation. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to like, comment, and share.